Hi, I'm Seán Finnan from Limerick Post. Here are the top stories from the week. Early in the year, a US-backed liquefied natural gas plant was set to be built off the coast of Kerry for €650 million, the aims of which was to increase Ireland's amount of electricity to make sure we aren't importing 90% of it from Scotland and make sure we had enough to provide for any shortages in the transition from non-renewable to renewable energy. This was flagged by Minister for Transport Eamon Ryan as it was not non-renewable energy, and is now being flagged by People Before Profit spokesperson Cian Prendeville, who said that the plant and its building of turbines, terminals and data centres isn't for the use of normal people or normal to average businesses, but for multinational companies and US-backed MNCs like the Facebooks, the Googles, the Amazons to make sure they have enough electricity to produce their products. This means that Ireland might not make its climate change targets and means that Ireland might be due a fine of €600 million annually for not meeting these climate change targets. A US transportation firm is potentially looking at Limerick as its base of operation for manufacturing for its European and Middle Eastern markets. The US firm Super Pedestrian, made by graduates of renowned American Technological University MIT in its creation of the e-scooters, is setting to look at Limerick for its base of operations and a potential $15 million investment and over 100 different jobs. The company is also awaiting an amendment on the road traffic bill, meaning that more scooters will be on the road, and that would mean whatever city they pick for manufacturing would have more investment to make more scooters. The company is already operational in 8 different countries across the world and in 50 different cities. Its Director for Policy for Ireland, Jean Andrews, said they're already looking for Irish engineers to work in manufacturing to ship the energy-efficient green products to over Europe and the Middle East. This is in line with the company's mission statement in order to pledge to become a carbon-neutral business and to tackle climate change in what they're doing in developing a green scooter. Last week, the French government fast-tracked 12,000 non-French frontline staff workers for their efforts during COVID-19. This is something that Labour spokesperson and TD Ivana Bacik said that Ireland should follow suit in. That those that risk their lives for the health of the state, a state that doesn't even recognise them as citizens, should be paid back because of their work during the pandemic. That this is something that they've sacrificed their health for, their security for, their work for, the very little pay that they get paid for, and should be gratified in what is a very small favour in comparison for their work for the past 18 months. And lastly, the return of students to UL's campus made sure the never-ending story of UL's accommodation problem has rose up once again. This problem was last heard in March of 2020, when plans to increase accommodation were literally to cut each accommodation in half to make sure that twice the amount of people lived in the same space. But this axe wound-shaped hole left in UL's chest was not treated during the course of the pandemic and has now become more infested. That students now from Ireland and internationally can't get accommodation on UL at all and are now looking for hotel rooms that can charge up to €390 per week. And not only that, now because the people are living in hotel rooms, they can't apply to open bank accounts or apply for student discounts because they don't have a stable address. In the response to those students living in hotels, one of the first reasons they gave as to why accommodation has decreased is they've noted a decrease in the amount of private landlords that are renting to students. This may be the case because of rental caps that were introduced on university accommodation a few years ago. Now that private landlords can't increase their rent, more houses and accommodation has decreased, meaning that not only is there less housing for students, but the remaining housing has gone up dramatically. This has been the Weekly Roundup. I've been Seán Finnan. Have a good afternoon, evening or night.